Right now, Senator Susan Collins said she will vote yes on the tax bill. Senator Bob Corker says he cannot support current bill. Senator Mitch McConnell, the majority leader, said, "We have the votes and the Senate will begin voting later today." Senator Susan Collins of Maine said she has secured the changes she needs to vote yes. For example, the bill will now include a $10,000 deduction for state and local property taxes. 3 previous Republican holdout senators, Jeff Flake of Arizona, Steve Daines of Montana and Ron Johnson of Wisconsin, threw their support behind the bill. An effort by Senator Bob Corker of Tennessee to include future tax increases to offset the deficit impact of the bill was rejected by Senate leadership, prompting Mr. Corker to say he is unable to support the legislation. Lawmakers are now considering reinstating a modified version of the alternative minimum tax on individuals and on corporations. The Senate is on the verge of passing the Republicans' sweeping tax overhaul, with several holdouts now throwing their support behind the bill. Ms. Collins, who was the last big holdout, said she would support the bill after changes she wanted were made to the legislation. Having secured these key improvements in the bill, as well as the commitments to legislation to help lower health insurance premiums, I will cast my vote in support of the Senate tax reform bill, she said. As revised, this bill will provide much-needed tax relief and simplification for lower and middle-income families, while spurring the creation of good jobs and greater economic growth. Party leaders also picked up the votes of 3 other holdouts, Mr. Flake, Mr. Daines and Mr. Johnson. Mr. McConnell and Senator John Cornyn, the No. 2 Senate Republican, said on Friday morning that Republicans had the 50 votes they need to pass the tax bill. Republicans appeared increasingly confident as they milled into the Senate's ornate Strom-Thurmond room to hash out the remaining details of a tax bill that has been a moving target. Among the changes Ms. Collins secured was adding in a $10,000 property tax deduction into the Senate bill. Ms. Collins tweeted that she was delighted with the move. Mr. Corker had pushed to scale back the tax cuts in the Senate bill in the wake of a report from the Congressional Joint Committee on Taxation that projected the bill would add $1 trillion to deficits over the course of a decade, even after accounting for economic growth. On Thursday night, Republicans were discussing several possibilities for changing the bill to address deficit concerns, including gradually raising the corporate tax rate in later years. But other Republicans resisted the idea of raising taxes, and on Friday, that idea was off the table. This is yet another tough vote. I am disappointed. I wanted to get to yes. But at the end of the day, I am not able to cast aside my fiscal concerns and vote for legislation that I believe, based on the information I currently have, could deepen the debt burden on future generations, Mr. Corker said in a statement.